Reckless talk. Son of a gifted. Hey, reckless talk. But I got expensive habits. Don't step in salt. I'm a real one, check my fabric.
All right, morning people, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. This is Don from Kenya Gunners TV, and I'm joined with Rage. First of all, Rage, man, what are you telling me, Bana? How are you?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for this chance, man. I'm doing well. I'm very happy. I think this is one of my best weeks. It's the best way you could have started this month with a win over
Yeah.
United. There's a lot of silence. I'm doing silence from all over on and off social media, courtesy of
Yeah.
Arsenal Football Club, the club that I call my own. Gunners forever, man. Yeah. How are you doing yourself?
I'm doing all right, though. I'm tired, man. It's been quite a busy, very, very, very busy weekend for me. I've actually not even slept. I've not been sleeping properly. Thinking of taking a
Mm-hmm.
vacation for the 2 weeks break we have. Think I need to
Mm-hmm.
go reset, man. By the way, guys, for the guys actually watching this, by the respect content creators, man, content creation is so much work. Even if you look at my eyes, man, my eyes are red. I've been having a long one. But anyway,
You
not
look like
complaining. It's part of the work.
you look like
I
you've
look
been
like,
run over by.
hey, Mazaya, but I've been run over by a train, man. Anyway, I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, loving what I'm doing. Yeah, man. So anyway, without any further ado, I just want us to do a quick weekend recap. Basically, when I talk about quick weekend recap, I basically just want us to talk about. Let me see. Let's talk about the top 6 teams right now. Yeah, and maybe you can also talk about
Mhm.
the United game as well. So let me just pull up the stats here. Just a moment.
Mhm.
Let me pull up the stats. Okay. So let's first of all talk about the team that is actually leading by the table. That is Man City. Man City actually had a
Mhm.
game with Fulham, and looking at the
Mhm.
first half, actually, Fulham actually, it was actually quite. They didn't actually penetrate through the better part of the first half because I watched the game. But immediately, I don't know who scored, but immediately City scored. That's when now scores kept on coming. I actually thought by the Fulham would hold them the same way Fulham also held us when they came at the
Mhm.
Emirates. But man, shock on me. City man without KDB, they still man has some perfect goals. Haaland man, that beast scored three goals. The guy had a hat trick, so they actually beat Fulham. Was it 5-1, right?
Yeah, it was 5-1.
Yes, they actually beat Fulham 5-1. All right. So man, did you watch the game? Did you watch the game? We're basically just doing a weekend recap. By the way, did you watch the game yourself?
Yeah, well, I did watch the first half and some bits of the second half. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I was Team Fulham because I wanted them to, let's say, like get a draw from that game so that we close that gap of 2 points. But
Yeah.
it's Man City, it's at home. But Fulham really tried their best in the first half. They held them off for a better part of the first half.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then in the second half, they scored the second goal. It was just rain. The goal started falling like four until up to 5 goals. Haaland, we
Man,
saw him at his absolute best. Got a hat trick, first hat trick of the season. You never know with Haaland. You never know how many hat tricks he can get. He can get even 10
yeah.
hat tricks this season. Yeah, and in that game, generally, look at the way Man City. I believe this season, Man City is easily beatable. Man City is the team for Arsenal to beat. For us, Man City is the team to beat. And if you look at that lineup, I believe it's easily beatable. Without KDB, they're easily beatable. They
Yeah.
do not have that midfield creativity, or even though they have the midfield powerhouse of Rodri and
Mm-hmm.
Kovacic, I, I still think there's some bit of lacking that creativity aspect of the midfield, which KDB usually provides. If you can imagine, if Man City had that midfield of Kovacic, KDB, and Rodri, it would have been a different story. But with KDB out, there's some bit of drop in that midfield. And
Yeah.
that is where you see people like Alvarez stepping up, people like there's this kid, and it was the Foden stepping up. You know,
Yeah,
they signed Doku from Reims in
yeah,
France. I'm not sure.
yeah.
And his good signing is 23 years old, and he might be a superstar. We never know until we see him play
The
more
kid turned
games.
up, man, for
But
the game.
generally,
For the game, man.
mhm,
That kid turned up. By the way, he was actually playing very well. I actually liked his game time when he was playing. So the kid's future is
that
actually quite bright.
mhm. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is the team for us. And we need to look at their games more often. I think Ateta should look at Man City's games more often and understand their gameplay for this season because Man City usually tends to change the way they play every season. You see, right now without KDB, they have been able to adapt easily and quickly and still be
Mm-hmm.
able to win games and maintain 100% record. So that
Yeah,
is the
man.
team to beat, to do better, to beat them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Cities are actually right. By the Cities, the team to beat. They're actually the weakest right now. Uh, the only thing is, I think what makes these guys strong is actually their mentality. I think these guys is the mentality and the experience. You know, when these guys actually meet opponents, some of other guys get intimidated and just end up, capitulating, and actually giving in. Because like Fulham, man, the first half they played very well. Then after just the first goal, these guys just capitulated and
You
God
know,
just kept on coming. Yeah,
and then if you go to the Etihad does
hmm,
not feel that intimidating as a stadium. You know, the environment at the Etihad is generally low. It's a
yeah,
bit slow. As
mm.
an opponent, you can go there and beat Man City and make the Etihad go silent. You know,
Those fans.
some.
Let me say this actually,
Go ahead.
Rage. Those City fans actually don't even deserve that team, man. The
Yes,
City fan base, man, is not even on. Man, these guys have won the
they don't
treble, but
even.
say that again.
I'm saying like they don't even cheer that team so much, or they are not that hardcore fans. You know, like Man U, Arsenal,
Yeah,
even Liverpool fans. You know? And
yeah, man.
when a team goes there, you don't feel the energy. And you know, if you go
Yeah,
and play Man City, you can suck all
yeah,
the energy from that stadium very easy, which makes
exactly.
it an easy place to go and play and win if you get your cards right. Remember, Brighton won at the Etihad last season, and the
Mm-hmm.
Etihad went silent. Remember,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
that is the team beat home and away. But first, we
Right.
need to win at home. We win at home, then away we
Mm-hmm.
can go and put some.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, man, enough with Man City, but that's the machine by there to chase down. Now let's go to one of the most interesting games by there for the for the weekend, and that is Chelsea versus the trees, the forest, man.
Yeah,
I had a fun that, man. How can a lion by there be beaten by
by a plan.
by a plant? So, man, the thing is this: the one interesting thing about Chelsea is these guys have actually spent a billion, I think £1 billion, almost £1 billion by the way, and the club is still shit. So
It's,
it just goes to prove by the what we've been saying. And there's a time actually said one thing and actually did a short video and put it up on social media. And a Chelsea fan came in rambling. I mean, focus on your team. Uh, but it's facts. Money doesn't bring cohesion in a team. And if you look at Chelsea, the way Chelsea are going, actually, just to put it out there, by the Chelsea was actually beaten 1-0 by Nottingham Forest, and they were beaten at home. They were beaten at Stamford Bridge. So it just goes to show you that money doesn't bring cohesion. And as much as yes, also money also helps improving a team. It's a team needs it starts from the top. So I feel like Chelsea at the moment, man, they've spent so much money. Even if you look at Pochettino, but this is the highest paid coach right now in the Premier League. Pochettino is
yes.
even the players, and they keep on giving the players long contracts. So I'm actually foreseeing Chelsea go the Nottingham Forest way. But anyway, man, I don't even watch the game. I didn't watch the game myself, so I really can't talk much about it. But what
Uh,
do you make of it? What do you make of the Chelsea versus Forest game?
well, I don't want to speak much about the Chelsea game. I've not seen the full game, but I watched some highlights. And for
Yeah.
me, one takeaway from this is that money is good, but money cannot buy you style, money cannot buy you culture, and money cannot buy
Yes.
you system. Pochettino has
Yeah.
come in, he has been given money. He has signed Caicedo, he has signed
Yeah.
Lavia. They signed Lavia for 55 million and he's there warming the bench. That is a very expensive bench warmer. Caicedo was signed for an English record of 110. Was it 110 or 120?
And
And
then
he's
actually even started that deal from Liverpool.
yeah, and he was awful. He was very awful. Caicedo was very awful, and that comes back to the management. I feel like if you go to the Stamford Bridge right now and you go to their training ground, you will realize that there's a problem in terms of the team cohesion, the team understanding, and the type of
Hmm.
game that Pochettino is going to play at that team. There's no
Yeah.
identity in that team. There's nothing like
Yeah.
identity in the Chelsea team. It's just good vibes at each other. And
Hmm.
personally, I think Pochettino is not the right guy for his job because Pochettino is a bit old.
Yep.
And what I believe Chelsea need to do is, I don't know, maybe sell their players again and rebuild afresh. You cannot rebuild a team with superstars. If you are given
I
a
think what they
team
need to
which
do.
has, let's say, someone like, there's oversaturation of players in a team, in
Yeah.
that some players might think they are bigger than, and then there's a bit of lack of cohesion. And one thing
That's
I
the
also
thing.
realized with Chelsea, the moment is that they lack a creative attacking midfielder. They are playing with
Yeah.
Conor Gallagher, but I don't think he's good enough to play as an attacking midfielder. They should not have sold Mount. They should have retained Mount because
Yep.
I believe Mount was better or is better than Gallagher. And that is now where the
Yeah.
Chelsea troubles begin. They don't have
Mm.
a creative midfielder.
Yeah.
Generally, they have players, but they lack creativity at the midfield. Someone who can hold the ball in tight spaces, someone who can make those long range passes with a good eye. Someone who
Yeah.
can easily scan the field, these positions of players and make passes. That is what they lack
Yeah.
at Chelsea, and
In
that
fact,
is my
actually,
takeaway from during the weekend versus Nottingham.
yeah,
Yes,
and you're actually right. By the way, money helps a team, but money doesn't bring cohesion in a team. Just like you said, and you remember when you put players but don't crazy salaries, it actually given the manager by their had some of these players actually even earn more than the coach. So there's a lot of
yes,
ego that you have to manage. You're dealing with millionaires, so you can imagine by the way the coach goes through. And looking at it, by the way, I'm foreseeing Chelsea go the same direction, but then Manu has been doing. These guys don't have a project, they don't have a team. They don't have a project
yes.
that they've been working on. That you see, like we Arsenal, by the way, we got rid of all the dirty and started actually, building a team from scratch. I feel like Chelsea, man, it's a big club, but the way it's being currently run, it's actually in for a real shock. By the way, all that money and they're still shit. That's music to my ears. In fact, the Chelsea fans right now are so silent. The Chelsea fans in Kenya right now, they do the gang, man. They have nothing to
I
say.
we don't see any proud Chelsea fans out here. That goes back to show you how plastic most fans are out here. The most genuine
That's
fans you can find out here are Manchester United, Liverpool,
yes.
and Arsenal. All these other
Trust
fans are so
so
and
plastic fans.
fake.
And trust me, by the way, you see, like even right now, man, for the longest time, but we've never really had Man City fans, but in Kenya. But you see,
Yeah?
now the fan base, all of a sudden, but they're now, getting small fans, man. I'm not a City fan, all because,
You're
it's now
seeing
all
people.
gold and, yeah, because
Yes,
it's now all gold, but then on the City side. But trust me when I tell you, by the way, and this is not where history comes. It will get to a time where by probably maybe City will also start having problems the same way clubs, because nothing is ever permanent. But they don't think all these things they're going through, but it's going to be permanent.
yes.
Say that again, Rich.
I'm saying, dynasties and eras come to an end. The Man
It
City
comes to an
era,
end.
something out. Yeah.
Exactly. And I've actually even realized this the city fan base here in Kenya, but they are so plastic. All guys, most fans are just supporting that club for the sake of supporting the club because of the vibes,
But just from Man U and
And
yes,
yeah, I believe that Manu, especially in Africa, Manu and Arsenal, where I rage, man. I know, I understand, and actually I have a lot of respect by the for Manu fans. I have respect for the Manu fan who's been supporting Manu for all these years. I have a lot of respect by the for Arsenal fans who've been supporting Arsenal through the thick and thin. Region, I'm sure you understand, man. You understand the stress we've been going through as a fan. In fact, me, I'll actually even, let me say this. There's a time I actually even stopped watching football because of Arsenal. During the Unai Emery moments, man, that time, man, football was just, I didn't enjoy football
it was
anymore, by the way. Exactly. But regardless of not enjoying football, man, I still stuck with my team, still supported my team, and still supporting my team to date. Anyway, man,
yes.
let's move on. But enough with all these issues. Let's go to the Burnley versus Spurs. So Burnley actually, it was Burnley 2, Spursy 5. It's so interesting by the
Mm-hmm.
man. Son had a hat trick by there for Spurs. He's now the captain by there after Harry Kane left. Man, let me tell you one thing. By the what people don't know here in Africa, we might probably not the rivalry between Arsenal and Spurs is not really intense in Africa as that of Man United versus Arsenal. But in the UK, in London, man, understand these guys have a big rivalry. So like you see the same way I've always been saying, I'd rather lose to any other team than lose to a man to Manchester United. It's the same way a fan by then the UK will equally say he'd rather bother lose to any team than lose to Spurs. But man, these
Mm-hmm.
days are on. Spurs is on right now. I don't know the coach, but the coach has basically just taken that team through a 360 turn, and they're doing very well. They actually beat Burnley 2, Spurs 5. Man, what do you make of the game if you watched it?
First, well, I happened to watch some of the highlights of the game, and first thing I want to say is that well,
Yeah,
I don't like saying they don't have they have not invested a lot. Well, they have invested in that squad. It's just that they usually the media never focuses on Tottenham so much. And personally,
yeah,
I don't like the that Tottenham is playing good football. They have managed to do a rebuild of that team. They have got. I feel like the biggest difference that Tottenham have at the moment is they got James Madison for
yeah, man,
cheap.
Madison, man, yeah,
Madison from Leicester City for 45 million was good business. He's Premier League tried and tested. He has experience. He's creative, and then he has entered this team, the new manager. This guy, the name is a bit hard. I think he was in Celtic, and
hmm
he's a managing genius because he has managed to give that Tottenham team an identity, a style
yeah,
of play. But now the problem is he still has a lot of poor players, poor quality
hmm
players. They have Davidson Sanchez at the back. Though I saw that he might stick to a Saudi club, the Saudi transfer league gets to work. If he does not go, they are still left with very poor defenders. They have Davidson Sanchez. They have this other guy, Eric Dier. You
hmm
see, all those type of defenders are not going to be. And even with the history that comes with Tottenham, if you have poor quality players who have not won anything, then you don't have the drive to go and push. Having a good season, starting with a good season, and the goal difference for them, they have been banging goals 5-2. The other day they
hmm
won 2-0. They won 4. I think it was 4-1. I'm not sure, but they have a bigger goal difference than us. But that is just it, the ability to sustain that, the ability to bring on other players who have injuries looming. They
yeah,
are they are not
yeah,
playing football. They are playing in the conference league or the I'm not so sure. And
yeah,
with the number of tournaments that come with that, all those games, the number of injuries is exponential. And that is where now squad depth might be a big issue for them. They're just one Madison injury
Actually,
away from
yeah.
back to
Actually,
where they were.
yeah. Actually, Reed, let me
Yeah.
say this, but the facts what you're saying, because remember these guys, they fell off the Carabao Cup. I don't know which along the week they actually fell off the Carabao Cup. Imagine first game and they actually off the Carabao Cup, and it just goes to what you're saying. Squad depth actually, but is what let them down. Because if you look at that, I actually watched a bit of the game. They didn't actually play most of their star players. I think Son came off the bench. Madison also came off the bench, but for that game, and they're given a hard
Mhm.
time. I don't know which team they are playing with, but for the Carabao Cup, but they actually fell off as well. So you are right. Actually, squad depth is actually what they're doing right now is not sustainable. As time goes on, remember there are 38 games to be played, and
Fatigue.
fatigue kicks in. So time will tell. Time is just going to come, but they're just eventually just going to, you know,
But
they're
generally,
going to, yeah,
from their game versus Burnley, I think the game was perfect. That goes
mm,
to show the plan that the manager has for that team, and I can see the issue. I can see
yeah,
everything is trying to. And kudos. I just hope that they don't keep that much longer because we need fewer competitors. And when we have Tottenham,
mm,
we have another challenge, another obstacle to overcome in the Premier League. And for me,
yeah,
I want us to have as few as possible, as very few obstacles to winning the league, because the Premier League is very competitive and very tough. And you sleep
mm,
one time, a team like Tottenham finishes above you, and then suddenly they say that we had a fluke. No, that is not what I want to see.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, let's move on quickly. By the way, the Brighton versus Newcastle game. I didn't want this game, but actually looking at the stats right now, it says Brighton actually beat these guys 3-1. Man, this is a team that I don't know what Deserve is doing with this team. I thought actually after selling Caicedo and all these players they had, they would not perform by this season, but they're actually doing very well. They've actually won most of the games, except from the game they are beaten by West Ham. They actually beat. Looking at the stats, they actually beat Newcastle 3-1, and Newcastle by is not an easy team. Eddie Howe, man, what's going on? Did you watch the game or did you watch the highlights? And what do you make of this 3-1
Well,
win they had?
but I've watched the highlights.
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched the highlights of the game, and well, Deserbi deserves more applause and credit than anybody else. I think at the moment, Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola, the third best
Yeah.
coach in the Premier League right now is Deserbi. He has
True.
that
Facts.
capability of bringing average players, and then
Yeah.
turning them into superstars who they sell, who they can go on and sell for lots of money.
Yeah.
The way that team has been set up,
Yeah.
I thought that if that team, the Caicedo and McAllister left, I thought that it's over for them going back to being around mid table team. But set up, with the likes of the Stupinian scoring, and they have this
Yeah.
18-year-old kid, this Ferguson kid.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the highlights of that game, that kid scored absolute bangers. And I watched the interview
Yeah.
that
Ferguson.
Deserbi
Yeah.
had at the end of the game, and the way he was talking to this kid, was like, this kid right now he's a goal scoring machine,
Mm.
but then he's planning to transforming him into being more creative, being able to know when to attack spaces and coming back to dropping deep to pick up the ball to attack spaces. And that is the kind of manager that Deserbi is.
Right.
And he has brought a different type of England and competition through Brighton, which has been set up perfectly. And this season, I believe they might go for a major trophy,
Yeah.
domestic cup. They're in the Europa League or
Yeah.
the
Then the
Conference
Europa
League.
League. Yeah.
So you see, that means they are in major tournaments, and I believe
Mm.
they might go all the way to probably the semis or the finals in either the FA, the Carabao, or the Europa League where they are playing.
Mm.
The Premier League is a bit challenging, but I believe they are a big threat for
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
And in that game versus Newcastle, I don't know what happened with Newcastle, but they have the problem with Newcastle actually is that they did not make good signings. Newcastle
Mm.
has not rated that team strongly. If you play with a Mhm.
Let's talk about now, man. One interesting game by the and one team that actually who guys need to look out by they might actually even compete by the for the for the for the Premier League this season. Liverpool, man, these guys are playing so well. I don't know if you've been able to if you watched the game they played versus Aston Villa. If you remember by the
Mhm.
last week, Liverpool actually beat Newcastle 2-1 with one man down. No, just goes to show you by there how Klopp man has prepared that team this season. Then last week actually, that was on no Sunday actually they played versus Aston Villa and they beat Villa, man. They beat Villa. So what do you make of the team, man? What do you make of Klopp's team right now? Is it a team that is actually intimidating you because they're playing so well, man?
First, the Aston Villa game. I
Yeah.
watched a second half, and
Mm-hmm.
it was total domination. Aston Villa was dominated by Liverpool. I don't understand how a midfield of Zoboslai, McAllister, and this other guy, forgetting the name, how that midfield could boss the Aston Villa midfield. Because basically
Yeah.
Liverpool do not have a natural CDM. Well, they bought one from Torino,
Mm.
a Japanese guy, but I don't think he's that great because even in the game versus Aston Villa, he started from the bench.
Yeah.
But Liverpool have been set up so well. They've had a good rebuild. They bought Gravenberch from Bayern, which is
Right.
a good signing. And in the back line, they are a bit solid. They are solid. They also have good attacking options. Liverpool as a team, I feel like they are complete at
Mm-hmm.
defensive wise and attacking. But then now, that midfield against a strong opponent might crumble. Aston Villa is not a small opponent. I think
Yeah.
the way that Unai Emery set up that Aston Villa team versus Liverpool is why he
Mm.
got it all. That was a tactical game, because
Right.
Liverpool on the possession, they possess the ball more, they control the game, they control the tempo of the game. And from the first half to the second half, there is no time that Unai Emery set up that system to try and even counter Liverpool. They were not countering. They did nothing that game. They had
Yeah.
in the second half. When I watched the game, they were averaging 0 shots on target, 0 shots
Mm.
in
Yeah.
in every 15 minutes. Aston Villa had 0 shots on target, 0 shots actually, not even 0 shots on target, 0 shots. And for me, it's good to see Liverpool rebuilding.
Yeah.
But again, I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't want to see a strong rebuild from Liverpool. I just want them to maintain their status, but I want them to be weaker than us, man. I want us to go to Anfield this time. We went there and drew last season. This season, I want us to go there and come back with a victory. That is one thing we have
Yeah.
not been able to do in a very long time. Win at the Anfield. And that is something that we let sleep. It slept from
Mm.
our hands last season. This
Mm.
season, it should not happen. We have a better
Yeah.
midfield than them.
Yeah.
They have had a good rebuild, but I believe we have a better team. And something that might happen is that Mosala might even be in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Al Ittihad planned to do a bid of 215 million
Ooh.
pounds for Mosala. You see, the most popular Arabic player, they want him by force. And
Mm.
if they manage to, I'll be more than happy to see Salah go to Saudi League. But I don't think
Yeah.
Liverpool is to sell him because they don't have a good backup in that position.
Mm.
Yeah, but it was a big
Absolutely.
performance versus Aston
Yeah.
Villa, and
Yeah. And
pretty
one
much
player that I
shows
think actually,
they are having a. Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
So one player by the way, that I think guys were given a lot of stick by the last season was Darwin Nunes. But look at this guy this season. The guy has gelled. I think probably maybe it was maybe a language barrier. But Ryan is communicating well with his fellow teammates. And Darwin Nunes, man, is very very impactful
It's
player. But then
bonding.
he's really bonding well by the team. So that's a player to actually look out for. But then you're meeting with Arteta, I think needs to
Mhm.
he needs to develop a system that is going to lock that guy. Because I've seen the guy play the game they played versus Newcastle, and the game they also played versus Aston Villa this week. Hey man, and that's a player that you need to develop a system of
Come-
blocking.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, yeah. So now let's move on, man, to one of the most interesting games. Actually, I think the most interesting games by the since the Premier League started this season. Arsenal versus
Mhm.
Man U, bro. We beat these guys 3-1. The talk is still going on. I think you've seen the videos, but you guys check out the videos, but they've done with the Man U fans. The Man U fans are still bitter, even after watching the video and the analysis. These Man U fans are still bitter, and still crying that they were we were basically carried by the referees. So, Ridgeman, Arsenal 3, Man United 1. What do you make of it?
Well, the Arsenal versus Man U game. First of all, I'm happy with the kind of peace of mind that I've gotten from winning that game. In office, with my friends, with social media, I'm not seeing a lot of yapping around, and that is a good thing. Courtesy of Declan Rice and Jesus, courtesy of the two.
Yes.
And that game, I remember tulikuwa pamoja, and it was an interesting game. It was full of ups and downs. But generally, in the first half, so the game, Manu had a lot of the possession, but then it was just possession. They did not have any attacking threat on us. They had
Mm,
fewer shots on target. They had fewer shots generally and fewer shots on target. The first half ended, they had 3 shots and one on target, which was the goal. And we had 9 shots and one on target. So we
yeah.
took more chances. We tried to create more chances despite having less possession. And the way they had been set up by Ten Hag, I believe Ten Hag in the first half was more tactical, was better tactically than Arteta. But then he was not that better because Arteta also upheld the same level of tactics to counter press them. And generally, this was a game made for the ages, a rivalry for the ages, Manu versus Arsenal. And Manu is way down below us, they don't have the squad depth. So what happened? They brought on Maguire and Johnny Evans, very old guy. Johnny Evans is
Who
an old
plays
player.
who plays Maguire? Somebody asked a question. Who plays Maguire and Johnny Evans by the at the back in 2023?
And then you want to contend for the title. That is a problem. You cannot contend with that kind of squad. They don't have the squad
Mm,
depth. If Casemiro is injured, they don't have a midfield. If Bruno
yeah,
is injured, they don't have. Even though Bruno has never been injured ever, Bruno has only missed one game due to
yeah,
illness. That is the
yeah.
thing that I have about Bruno. But then, if Bruno is injured, then they are they will not have any creativity in that team. And then if you look at the front line for Manu, Anthony is nowhere to be seen. Marshall, the same thing. The only person who shines at that front three is Rashford. The other two, they just leave. They don't have anything to contribute to the team.
Let me say this. Uh, Man U fans by the way should actually be very lucky. We beat them actually 3-1. Trust me, if we made the subs earlier on, if Kai Havertz actually came off by the way earlier on, would have probably beat if actually if we score these 2 goals by the way that we scored the last minute, if we actually scored them by the way in the second half, towards the beginning of the second half, trust me, would have easily beaten these guys by the way, probably even 7-0. Because man, the
Yeah,
defense was completely in shambles. And you know, Robbie actually said, I was actually watching AFTV, and Robbie actually said, what's the difference between the way Man United actually played versus Nottingham Forest? Because the whole time, man, it was just uh, get the ball, kick it to Rashford find a way of getting the ball back in the net. Their style of play was not the Man United, but they've been watching for quite some time. So man, that club, man. Anyway, to the Man U fans, sorry, we had a lot of debate with the Man U fans. I think you guys saw what happened, but boy, oh boy, those guys have a long way to go. They just one injury away, by the way. Not even that those guys. I
In
don't know
all the
those.
major positions, we have only one key player. The
Yeah,
central defense midfield is Casemiro. The attacking midfield it's Bruno. They have Mount, but not injured. The front three
yeah,
they have nobody apart from Rashford. The back four,
mm,
you see what happens when Martinez is not there, or Varane, or Lindelof, who
yeah,
are not good players as well. Now, Lindelof is not world class. The only world class defender in Man United team is Varane only, and
yeah,
Martinez enter in that conversation, but he's not that world class. You cannot compare him with Saliba or compare him with the likes of Ruben Diaz of Man City, or even
mm,
with the likes of this Newcastle guy, Botman. Cannot
mm,
compare them with the Botman.
yeah,
Yeah, basically, Man U they
yeah.
have a long way. Anyway, guys, my phone is going off. See? I'm really struggling today. My phone is off. My data is
Yeah.
off.
It's
I
okay.
think
It's
we'll
okay,
continue.
Rich man. Let me wrap this up, man. Anyway, thank you. Yeah, thank you for pulling up. Guys, let us know what you think of the conversation we've had around the weekend wrap up. So, Rich man, I'll be seeing you on the next one.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the time. And guys, be sure to like our video, share, and show us some love. Let us know what you think about the weekend game and what you expect after the international break. Yes.
Actually, man, but they've gotten some really good love by there from this weekend's game. We had a lot of subs. I think we had probably like 30 subs, by the 30 new subs. So for the new guys who subscribe, thank you very much. Don't take it for granted. Let's get this thing man to 1,000 subs.
Yes, man.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one, guys. Come
All
on,
right,
you
guys. We'll be
Gunners.
seeing. Come on, you guys.